What if the very thing holding you back from the life you dream of isn't your lack of talent, opportunity, or resources, but the comfort you've built around yourself? Have you ever felt that subtle tension between the person you are today and the one you know you could become if only you dared to step outside the familiar? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Life has a curious way of presenting us with tests when we least expect them. Sometimes those challenges appear as obstacles, other times as quiet whispers telling us it's time to change. Choosing growth over comfort is rarely easy, but it's always necessary. Comfort keeps us safe, but it also keeps us still. Growth, on the other hand, demands movement. It asks us to stretch beyond the ordinary, to take risks that shape our character and prepare us for the future. Think about it. Has this ever happened to you, where staying in your comfort zone felt easy at first, but left you restless in the long run? The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready to start. Waiting for the perfect moment only feeds hesitation. Action, however small, dissolves fear faster than any amount of contemplation. When you step forward, even uncertainly, you discover that clarity comes with motion, not with waiting. Many people spend their whole lives planning, thinking, and preparing, only to realize they never actually took the first step. And isn't that the greatest risk of all, to reach the end of your story, knowing you never truly began? Growth is not about dramatic leaps every day, but about consistent movement toward what challenges you. Each step into discomfort builds resilience, shaping your identity in ways comfort never could. The road of growth is paved with small decisions. Speaking up when you'd rather stay silent, trying something new when you feel unqualified, saying yes to opportunities that terrify you. These moments forge strength, and over time, they create a life filled with meaning rather than regret. Has this ever happened to you? You hesitate, waiting for the right time, and then months or even years slip by? You tell yourself you'll start when you're more confident, when you have more money, when you feel ready. But readiness is a myth. It never truly arrives, and waiting only strengthens the grip of fear. Acting in spite of doubt is the real secret. Motion unlocks the courage you thought you lacked. This is why choosing growth over comfort is such a powerful law of life. Growth demands you break routines that no longer serve you, while comfort convinces you to cling to them. Comfort tells you, stay safe, stay still. Growth whispers, move forward, even if you stumble. And when you choose growth, you discover that the very discomfort you feared was the mother's soil where your strength would take root. What you're about to hear in this journey is not abstract theory. It's wisdom tested by time and experience. Together, we'll uncover why the choice between action and hesitation defines the course of your life. You'll see how even the smallest step forward, taken today, can spark changes that ripple through everything else. So let's begin this exploration. Keep listening, because the next insight may just challenge the way you've been living until now, and open the door to something far greater. If you find value in conversations like this, and want to keep uncovering insights that help you grow, make sure to subscribe. That way, every new video reaches you right when you need it most, like a reminder that your journey matters, and you're not walking it alone. Discipline is not glamorous, and it rarely feels exciting in the moment, but it is the hidden truth behind every transformation that lasts. Motivation burns like a spark, quick to ignite, but just as quick to fade. Discipline, on the other hand, is like a steady flame. It doesn't demand applause. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It simply shows up again and again until the results become undeniable. Think about how many times you felt inspired to begin something new, only to stop the moment the feeling faded. That's where discipline steps in. It doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what you decided, and it reminds you to honor that decision, even when comfort whispers that skipping today won't matter. The impact of this choice is profound. Discipline builds momentum, and momentum creates freedom. Each time you do the small task you promised yourself, even when you don't want to, You prove to your mind that your word is stronger than your mood. That shift in mindset is what separates those who dream from those who actually transform their lives. Behind the scenes of any great success, what you find is not endless bursts of inspiration, but quiet consistency repeated until the extraordinary becomes natural. And once you start walking this path, you'll see how easily the world tries to pull you away from it. Distractions are everywhere, dressed as opportunities, comfort, or even obligations that look important, but only drain your energy. Guarding your focus becomes more than just a productivity trick. It's a declaration that your journey matters more than every notification, every unnecessary demand, every voice telling you to spread yourself too thin. Focus is the shield that keeps your future intact. Without it, even the best intentions get lost in the noise. With it, your steps gain clarity, and you begin to move with precision instead of scattering your energy in all directions. It's almost shocking how simple this truth is, and yet how often it's ignored. If you don't separate from distractions, they will separate you from your goals. And distractions are patient. They don't need to win all at once. They only need to keep you busy enough, unfocused enough, until one day you realize years have passed and the things you once promised yourself remain untouched. The discipline to protect your attention is the real key to progress. Now, think about the flow of time. We all say, "I don't have time," but the reality is that time is the only currency equally given to each of us. What we do with it defines who we become. Time flies, it doesn't pause, it doesn't wait, it doesn't negotiate. Yet even in its relentless passing, there's power. You are the pilot. You can choose where those hours go. If you don't, others will gladly choose for you. Every yes to a distraction is a no to something that truly matters. Every hour unclaimed is already claimed by someone else's agenda. Owning your time is not about rigid schedules. It's about deciding what holds meaning and ensuring it is given space before the trivial consumes it. This is not about being perfect or controlling every detail. It's about creating an intentional life where discipline becomes your compass, focus your shield, and time your greatest ally. When you start seeing yourself as the one steering the ship rather than a passenger drifting on the currents of circumstance, you begin to sense a deeper freedom, the kind that comes from alignment between what you value and how you live. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the next step reveals something most people never truly face. How the small decisions you make daily write the larger story of your life, whether you realize it or not. Before we move forward, tell me in the comments if this resonates with you. Right, this makes sense to me. It's a way of affirming your own commitment to discipline, focus, and time, and it's powerful to see how many others are walking this path with you. Respect is not something you demand from others. It is something you model through the way you treat yourself. When you set the tone for how you value your own time, energy, and boundaries, you send a silent but powerful message about what others can and cannot do in your presence. This is the hidden truth behind self-respect. It becomes the invisible standard by which the world interacts with you. If you undervalue yourself, people will instinctively follow that script. But when you hold your ground, when you protect your dignity even in the smallest details, you create an atmosphere where respect is the minimum entry fee into your life. And this is not arrogance, it's clarity. It's the understanding that who you are and what you carry has worth, and that worth must be recognized. Self-respect is like the foundation of a house. If it's weak, no matter how beautifully you decorate the walls, the structure won't last. Behind the scenes of people who live fulfilled and balanced lives, you will always find a mindset rooted in self-respect. It's not about shouting your value, but about living it in ways that are quiet yet undeniable, saying no when you need to, walking away from what diminishes you, refusing to negotiate your standards for temporary approval. And strangely enough, the moment you start respecting yourself first, you stop chasing validation, and validation begins to chase you. Now, imagine the weight of this combined with the reality of small steps. We often think transformation demands grand gestures, giant leaps, or radical overnight changes. But the hidden power lies in the small, consistent decisions that compound over time. A single step may not look like much, but it shifts your direction, and direction matters more than speed. Taking one honest step toward the life you want is infinitely more valuable than running in circles where you've always been. This is the quiet revelation most people miss. Progress rarely feels like fireworks. It feels like repetition, like patience, like faith in the invisible accumulation of effort. Think about the moments when you hesitated because the step seemed too small to matter. Yet those are the very moments where your journey shifts course. Small steps break inertia. They bypass the paralysis of overthinking and carry you forward, even when you can't yet see the full picture. Every great transformation begins with one small move in the right direction, and the impact is exponential. The compounding effect of consistent effort creates a momentum that nothing can stop. Of course, small steps will lead you to encounters with failure. That's inevitable, but failure is not the enemy. It is a disguised mentor. Every failure carries lessons that no book, no course, no advice could ever truly teach. It has a way of stripping away illusions and forcing you to see the raw, unfiltered truth. The only real mistake is the one you repeat, the one you refuse to learn from. If you allow it, failure can be the fastest teacher you'll ever meet. It refines your decisions, it sharpens your instincts, and it shows you exactly where your mindset needs to evolve. When you begin to see failure not as a verdict, but as feedback, your entire journey changes. Instead of hiding from setbacks, you lean into them, knowing that each stumble is actually a step forward in disguise. It's a paradox. What feels like loss in the moment is often the beginning of the most valuable revelations about yourself and your path. Behind every story of success is a hidden archive of failures, each one a stepping stone, each one teaching lessons that made the ultimate transformation possible. Respect yourself enough to take those small steps. Respect yourself enough to learn quickly from the falls. And respect yourself enough to keep moving, even when the road feels uncertain. Because each choice you make in alignment with self-worth, consistency, and resilience is shaping the person you are becoming. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the way you respond to challenges doesn't just shape your path, it reveals your true character and the depth of your transformation. And tell me this in the comments, right? I'm also on this path. It's a way of declaring to yourself and to others that you're choosing respect, choosing growth, and choosing to keep walking even when it's hard. Preparation is often underestimated because it doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't carry the same rush as spontaneity, and it rarely earns applause. But behind the scenes of every breakthrough, there's a quiet layer of preparation that made it possible. Not preparing is the same as quietly deciding to stumble, because the future always exposes what you did or didn't do today. Think of it like laying out stepping stones before you walk across a river. Each small effort, each organized detail, each clear plan is a stone placed in advance. When the moment comes to cross, the path feels lighter, safer, even graceful. Without those stones, though, you're left to scramble, to risk the currents sweeping you away. The hidden truth is that preparation is not about controlling the future. It's about equipping yourself to face it with strength instead of panic. And while preparation builds your structure, the people you choose to surround yourself with form the atmosphere you breathe inside it. Every circle has an invisible influence, shaping your mindset, your habits, even your sense of possibility. You may not notice it at first, but you absorb the beliefs and behaviors of those closest to you like a sponge. If your circle is full of distraction, complacency, or envy, you'll start to mirror it no matter how strong you think you are. But when you choose your circle wisely, those who want more for you, not just from you, you're lifted into a current that pushes you forward. The impact of being around people who believe in your growth is profound. It's like a mirror reflecting back your potential on the days you forget it yourself. Transformation doesn't happen in isolation. It's a journey, and your companions on that journey often determine how far you go. Still, even with preparation and supportive surroundings, there is one force that often holds us hostage: overthinking. Have you noticed how easily the mind can twist reality into a web of what-ifs, fears, and imagined failures? Overthinking is the art of building castles out of problems that don't yet exist, draining energy before the first step is even taken. It disguises itself as caution or intelligence, but in truth, it's paralysis. The hidden truth here is simple. No amount of thought can replace a single act of courage. Action is sharper than analysis. It cuts through the knots that endless reflection only tightens. The moment you move, the fog begins to lift, and clarity follows. This doesn't mean action ignores wisdom. It means that wisdom itself is sharpened by experience, and experience only comes when you dare to move. The revelations you discover after taking a step are worth more than all the imagined scenarios created by hesitation. Behind every story of success is not just preparation and support, but also decisive moments where action was chosen over delay. Each courageous step teaches you more about the path than months of contemplation ever could. So, preparation sets your foundation, your circle fuels your atmosphere, and action clears the fog. Together, they create a rhythm that keeps you aligned with growth instead of trapped in fear. And once you begin to see how these forces work in unison, the way you approach your journey shifts completely. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because what comes next reveals how our choices under pressure expose who we really are, and how discipline in the small moments shapes the destiny waiting behind the larger ones. And let me know in the comments if this resonates with you. Right, I choose action. It's a way of anchoring this truth in your own journey and reminding yourself that hesitation never builds, but action always does. Health is often treated like an afterthought, something we'll get around to once everything else settles down. But the hidden truth is that your body is the vehicle for every dream, every decision, every transformation you'll ever experience. If you neglect it today, the cost doesn't show up immediately. It comes later, disguised as fatigue, illness, or limitations you never asked for. Think of your health as a savings account, where every choice you make is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Rest, movement, nourishment. These are not luxuries. They are investments. Just like compounding interest, small consistent deposits build strength, resilience, and vitality that will carry you when life tests you most. There's a behind-the-scenes reality here. Strength is rarely built in the spotlight. It's built in the quiet moments when you choose water over distraction, sleep over endless scrolling, or movement over excuses. These micro-decisions may feel insignificant, but they shape the foundation of your energy, your clarity, and even your emotional balance. When you treat your body well now, it becomes your most loyal ally later, protecting your future self from the regrets of neglect. But as you focus on building this foundation, you'll inevitably face the temptation of comparison. It creeps in quietly, often while scrolling through someone else's highlight reel, making you question your progress, your pace, even your worth. Yet comparison is the thief of joy, because it blinds you to the richness of your own journey. Your path is not designed to look like anyone else's. It's written by the choices, struggles, and revelations that only you have lived. When you measure yourself against others, you miss the beauty of measuring against your own yesterday. The mindset shift here is profound. Instead of asking, "Am I where they are?" ask, "Am I further than I was?" Progress, even when invisible to others, is transformation in motion. The impact of choosing self-measurement over comparison is freedom to grow without resentment, freedom to celebrate without envy, freedom to focus on what truly matters, becoming the best version of yourself. The joy of the journey is found not in catching up to someone else's chapter, but in honoring the uniqueness of your own story. And once you stop comparing, you naturally begin to see the importance of standards. Standards are not walls meant to keep people out. They are boundaries that protect your energy, your vision, and your future. Lowering them for convenience or approval may feel easier in the moment, but it always costs more than it gives. When you compromise your standards, you send a message to yourself and to others that your values are negotiable. But when you hold firm, When you refuse to shrink just so someone else feels taller, you create space for the right people to rise to meet you. The hidden truth is that the right people are never threatened by your standards. They're inspired by them. The wrong people will fade, not because you pushed them away, but because your boundaries revealed what they were truly after. Transformation requires courage, and part of that courage is deciding what you will and will not allow into your life. Behind every strong journey is someone who chose not just goals, but non-negotiables. And those non-negotiables become the silent architecture of a life lived with clarity and purpose. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand how health, joy, and standards intertwine, you'll begin to see how each decision you make is not isolated. It's a thread woven into the larger tapestry of your life, shaping not only your present, but the hidden future that's still unfolding. And let me know in the comments if this resonates with you. Right, this makes sense to me. It's a way of affirming that you're choosing to protect your health, guard your joy, and honor your standards no matter what. Forgiveness is one of those words we hear so often that it risks losing its weight, but the hidden truth is that it may be the single most liberating choice you ever make. Carrying resentment is like dragging a heavy anchor across every step of your journey. It slows you down, distorts your vision, and ties you to a past that cannot be changed. Forgiveness doesn't mean rewriting the story or pretending it never happened. It means releasing yourself from the endless cycle of replaying it. It's not about excusing the harm. It's about reclaiming your freedom. When you forgive, you untie the knots that keep you tethered to yesterday, and suddenly your energy is available again for the future that's waiting. Behind the scenes of so many transformations lies this quiet act of release, one that rarely makes headlines, but shifts everything. Letting go works hand in hand with forgiveness, because you cannot step into a new chapter if you're still gripping the old one with clenched fists. Some doors don't close because of cruelty or injustice. They close simply because the lesson has already been learned. Holding on to people, places, or habits that no longer serve your growth is like keeping old clothes in your closet that don't fit. You keep reaching for them, only to feel the discomfort all over again. True courage is in blessing those endings and making space for beginnings you cannot yet see. This is not just a mindset shift. It's a practical decision that shapes your destiny. The impact of release is profound. It clears the noise, it lightens your load, and it opens a space where unexpected opportunities can finally land. There's a hidden revelation here. Many times, what we think is loss is actually an act of preparation. Life cannot pour new wine into an old wineskin. Transformation demands emptying out the outdated so something aligned can take its place. If you've ever felt like everything was falling apart, it might have been life's way of making room for something greater. But you only notice the gift if you're willing to unclench your grip on what you thought you couldn't live without. And then come the problems, the very things we're taught to avoid, yet the very things that often carry our biggest lessons. Adversity is not a detour from the path. It is the path. Challenges strip away illusions and reveal the hidden layers of our strength that would have stayed dormant under comfortable skies. Sunny days make for easy smiles, but storms are what carve resilience into your character. Think about it. How many times have your hardest seasons produced not only pain, but also clarity, growth, and even a new version of yourself you didn't know was possible? Problems are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to rise, to sharpen, to discover the reserves of courage that routine living never demands. Every storm carries within it a mirror, showing you not just the obstacles in your way, but also the depths of your own endurance. That is the paradox. The very weight you resist is what forges the power you'll rely on later. Behind the scenes of every powerful journey are chapters filled with setbacks, disappointments, and failures that eventually became the soil where strength and wisdom took root. The hidden truth is that adversity doesn't just test you, it introduces you to parts of yourself you didn't even know existed. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you see how forgiveness, release, and adversity interlace, you begin to understand that life's most difficult chapters are not there to break you, but to shape you into someone capable of carrying more light, more vision, and more impact. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I release the weight. It's more than words. It's a declaration that you're choosing freedom over resentment, space over clinging, and strength over avoidance. Thinking big has always been the seed of transformation, but dreaming alone isn't enough. It's the brick you lay today that determines whether that dream becomes a foundation or just a fleeting thought. When you dare to envision a future larger than your current capacity, it can feel overwhelming, even impossible. But here's the hidden truth. No mountain is climbed in leaps. Every summit begins with one step, one breath, one choice repeated often enough to create momentum. Excellence is rarely about a single spectacular action. It's about the ordinary things you commit to with unusual persistence. Behind the scenes of every so-called overnight success is usually a long trail of small, consistent actions that build strength in silence. It's in those moments of repetition, when no one is watching, that character is sculpted and dreams are quietly being brought into reality. And that brings us to something most people underestimate: the power of restraint. There's a temptation to speak of your goals, to announce your vision loudly to the world, hoping that the echoes of your words will somehow build the life you want. But results carry a gravity words never will. When you show rather than tell, when your progress speaks on your behalf, you don't just prove a point, you create impact. The journey feels cleaner when you remove the noise of constant declarations and instead channel that energy into actual movement. Silence becomes your shield, discipline your voice, and results your revelations. The world pays closer attention not to the person who talks the most, but to the one who quietly produces outcomes that can't be ignored. This discipline of proving more and speaking less is not about secrecy, but about alignment. It's about refusing to let the validation of others become your fuel. Too often, energy is spent convincing instead of building, debating instead of creating. But when your life becomes the evidence, when your actions are your announcement, you realize words were never necessary in the first place. You become undeniable without ever raising your voice. That's where real power lies. Still, there is another layer to this mindset that shapes everything: the decision to value direction over speed. In a culture obsessed with fast results, shortcuts, and instant gratification, it's easy to confuse movement with progress. But running fast in the wrong direction only takes you further from where you actually want to be. The impact of speed fades quickly if the path itself is misaligned. The hidden truth is that clarity beats urgency every time. When you choose your course with intention, even the slowest steps move you closer to a life that reflects your deepest values. Direction builds sustainability, while speed without vision creates burnout. Think about it like this. A river doesn't rush in every direction just to move quickly. It carves its path with purpose, shaping landscapes through consistency and direction. The same applies to your journey. A slower pace along the right course allows you to notice the details, to absorb the lessons, to adapt with wisdom instead of haste. This doesn't mean you avoid ambition. It means you let ambition be guided by purpose instead of pressure. That distinction is what makes all the difference between a life that feels scattered and one that feels aligned. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand how dreaming big connects with proving through action and walking with purpose rather than rushing with panic, you begin to see a hidden blueprint of transformation, one that redefines success not by how fast you run, but by how true you remain to your path. And I'd love for you to leave a mark in the comments by writing, "My path matters more than my pace." Say it as a way to anchor this truth in your own journey and to remind yourself that the direction you choose is the real measure of progress. Mindset is the invisible lens through which you see the world. And the hidden truth is that it shapes your reality more than any external event ever could. Two people can live through the exact same circumstance, yet walk away with entirely different stories simply because of the meaning they chose to give it. You don't always get to control what happens, but you always have the power to decide what it means. That decision is what transforms setbacks into lessons and victories into stepping stones for greater growth. This is not just a mental trick. It's a profound shift in how you experience life. When you train yourself to assign meanings that make you stronger instead of weaker, you create a resilience that no storm can erode. The impact is enormous. Problems stop feeling like punishments and start revealing themselves as catalysts for transformation. But it's not only your inner dialogue that defines the quality of your journey. It's also the boundaries you set along the way. Many people think boundaries are walls meant to keep others out, but in truth, they are the lines that protect what matters most. They are acts of love, both for yourself and for the relationships you want to preserve. Without them, respect quietly dissolves and resentment begins to take its place. Boundaries are not selfish. They are clarity. They tell the world, and more importantly, they remind you of what you are willing to accept and what you will no longer allow. Behind the scenes of every healthy relationship and every balanced life is the courage to draw these lines, to say no when it's necessary, and to recognize that not everything or everyone deserves unlimited access to you. Setting these limits is not about pushing people away. It's about protecting your energy so that the love, focus, and commitment you give can actually be sustainable. When you have no boundaries, you are drained, scattered, and pulled in too many directions, unable to give your best anywhere. But when you hold firm to them, you create space for deeper connections, greater focus, and authentic growth. Boundaries allow you to honor both yourself and others in ways that elevate, rather than diminish, the relationships you keep. And then there's gratitude, the quiet force that has the power to transform everything without changing anything. Gratitude multiplies good because it shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from what's lacking to what's abundant. Thankfulness is a filter, one that turns enough into more than enough, simply because your perspective shifts. Problems will always try to count you, reminding you of what's wrong. But gratitude interrupts that cycle. It teaches you to count your blessings instead. And in that act, you stop being a prisoner of circumstances and start becoming the creator of your own meaning. Think of it as a behind-the-scenes alchemy. Gratitude doesn't erase difficulty, but it reframes it, balancing the scale so that struggle doesn't overshadow everything. And as you cultivate it, you begin to notice how even the smallest blessings, moments of peace, acts of kindness, the fact that you are still here, breathing, carry immense weight when acknowledged. Gratitude opens the door to joy not because life becomes perfect, but because your perception of it becomes clearer. It's a mindset that quietly transforms daily living into something extraordinary. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because once you see how meaning, boundaries, and gratitude work together, you realize they are not separate practices, but threads of the same tapestry guiding your decisions, shaping your mindset, and defining the journey you are on. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I choose meaning. It's a way of affirming that you're not leaving your story to chance. You're choosing to interpret it in a way that empowers and strengthens you. Learning is often seen as a process of accumulation, as if wisdom were a library where the shelves grow taller and the books never stop piling up. But the hidden truth is that real wisdom is less about storing information and more about refining it. It's about knowing when to let go of outdated answers, when to unlearn what no longer serves your growth, and when to relearn a truth from a deeper perspective. Transformation doesn't come from clinging to yesterday's conclusions, but from allowing your mindset to evolve with every new revelation. Life is not static, and neither should your understanding be. Behind the scenes of every breakthrough, there's usually a moment where someone dared to question what they thought they already knew. This is why unlearning is so powerful. It clears the clutter of beliefs that once felt certain, but now weigh you down, making space for clarity and alignment. Think of it like pruning a tree. You cut back not to harm it, but to allow it to flourish. Relearning, then, is the process of returning to ideas with new eyes, applying the wisdom of experience to what once felt simple. It's this cycle of learning, unlearning, and relearning that keeps you flexible, open, and prepared for growth. Without it, knowledge becomes stale and decisions become rigid. With it, you remain adaptable, resilient, and aligned with truth as it unfolds. But even as you update your inner compass, the temptation to live for approval is always present. Approval is seductive because it feels like validation, but it's fleeting. It ties your worth to shifting opinions, leaving you chasing crowds instead of following your own direction. Purpose, on the other hand, is quieter but infinitely stronger. It doesn't need applause to keep going. It's the internal compass that keeps you moving forward even when no one else understands, even when others resist or criticize. Purpose looks ahead. Approval looks around. And the impact of choosing purpose over approval is that your life begins to align with something greater than popularity. It aligns with meaning. Behind the scenes of those who seem unshakable, you'll often find this simple truth. They stopped living for applause and started living for alignment. They measured success not by how many people clapped, but by how faithfully they followed their inner compass. This doesn't mean you ignore others or shut yourself away. It means you refuse to compromise your path for the temporary satisfaction of being liked. That's the hidden strength of purpose. It endures where approval fades. Yet walking with purpose isn't always easy, because purpose demands sacrifice. And this is where hard choices come in. The paradox of life is that easy choices often create hard lives, while hard choices create easy ones. Choosing discipline over indulgence, honesty over convenience, effort over shortcuts. All of these are hard in the moment, but they lighten the weight of tomorrow. Transformation is rarely about a single dramatic decision. It's about the small, consistent choices to do what is difficult now, so that the future can unfold with less resistance. Every time you lean into the difficult instead of avoiding it, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted with greater responsibility, greater freedom, greater impact. This is where character is forged, not in comfort, but in discomfort. The hidden truth is that the very choices you resist are often the exact ones that hold the keys to your growth. Avoid them, and life becomes heavier over time. Face them, and life becomes freer. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you begin to connect the power of unlearning, the clarity of purpose, and the strength found in hard choices, you start to see how these decisions are not isolated. They are threads, weaving together the fabric of your transformation. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I choose purpose. It's more than just a phrase. It's a declaration that you are ready to step out of the shadows of approval, embrace the weight of difficult decisions, and align yourself with a life that actually means something. Patience is one of the rarest virtues in a world that worships speed. Everywhere you look, there's a demand for instant results, overnight success, quick fixes that promise transformation without the weight of persistence. But the hidden truth is that everything truly great, whether it's building strength, creating a legacy, or becoming who you were meant to be, requires time and tenacity. Progress doesn't bow to impatience. It asks you to act with urgency in the present, but to hold a quiet trust about the unfolding of results. That balance is powerful, being relentless in your actions while being patient with the timeline. Behind the scenes of every story that inspires you is someone who stayed the course long after the initial spark faded, who planted seeds and kept watering even when nothing seemed to grow. This is where mindset matters most. Impatience tricks you into abandoning the very process designed to shape you. It whispers that nothing is happening, when in reality, roots are deepening beneath the surface, preparing for growth that can't be rushed. When you learn to wait without losing momentum, you unlock a resilience that becomes your competitive edge. Patience doesn't mean passivity. It means trusting that consistency has an invisible impact that will reveal itself in time. Yet patience doesn't just apply to goals, it applies to emotions too. Emotions are powerful messengers, but left unsteered, they can drive you off course. To feel fully is human, but to be driven entirely by impulse is dangerous. Reacting in anger, fear, or excitement without pause often creates consequences heavier than the moment that triggered them. Steering your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. It means holding the wheel firmly while acknowledging the storm. You can feel the waves, but still direct the boat. This is the hidden truth of emotional intelligence. Power lies not in denial of feelings, but in directing them toward constructive action. Behind the scenes of strong decisions, you'll often find this pause between stimulus and response, the breath that prevents regret, the silence that turns reaction into clarity. Responding, instead of reacting, allows you to transform chaos into calm, conflict into connection, and fear into courage. This practice doesn't just change how others see you, it transforms how you see yourself. It gives you proof that you are capable of mastering the very forces that once seemed uncontrollable. And that leads directly into the inner dialogue you carry every day. The way you speak to yourself defines the ceiling of your growth more than any outside voice ever could. Words spoken internally are not neutral, they are seeds. Plant self-doubt and hesitation blooms. Plant self-direction and progress takes root. Your inner story becomes the script that your life follows, often quietly, often without you even realizing it. If you keep repeating that you are not ready, not worthy, not capable, your actions will unconsciously align with that belief. But the moment you begin to rewrite that story, choosing words that align with growth, resilience, and courage, you start to shift the entire trajectory of your journey. The hidden revelation is that external success often lags behind internal narrative. People who break barriers, who transform their lives, almost always start by speaking to themselves differently, encouraging, guiding, sometimes even commanding themselves into a new standard of action. Guarding this story is like guarding the foundation of a house. If cracks form there, the whole structure weakens. But when the foundation is solid, everything built upon it stands strong. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you see how patience, emotional mastery, and the inner story weave together, you realize they are not isolated principles, but forces that quietly sculpt your entire journey, shaping the hidden architecture of the life you are creating. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I guard my story. Let it be more than words. It's a reminder that your transformation begins with the narratives you choose to carry within. Truth is rarely convenient. It asks for courage when silence would be easier, for clarity when deception would protect you, and for integrity when compromise could hand you quick approval. But the hidden truth is that cheap wins are never really wins at all. They leave a residue, a weight that grows heavier with time. Integrity, on the other hand, may cost more up front. It may demand sacrifice, discomfort, even isolation, but it pays dividends that last a lifetime. Behind the scenes of every life that inspires you, there are decisions where truth was chosen at a cost, and it was that cost that gave depth to their journey. When you choose truth, you anchor yourself to something unshakable. Even if others waver, even if circumstances turn against you, your integrity becomes the compass that prevents you from losing yourself along the way. That same principle applies when it comes to how you grow. Excuses feel protective in the moment, but they're actually theft in disguise. Every excuse spends a piece of your future while disguising itself as comfort. Skills, on the other hand, are the currency of transformation. When you invest in learning, in practice, in sharpening what you lack, you shrink the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The hidden revelation is that skills are not just tools, they are bridges. They connect today's limitations to tomorrow's possibilities. Excuses keep the bridge unfinished, leaving you staring at the other side, but never crossing it. But each time you choose practice over procrastination, effort over avoidance, you place another stone on that bridge, making your journey forward possible. And yet, even skills and truth cannot carry you far without consistency. Consistency is the quiet force that shapes your identity. You are not defined by what you do once in a burst of inspiration, but by what you repeat, especially on the days when no one is watching and motivation has long since left the room. It's not glamorous, and it rarely feels extraordinary, but this is where the hidden architecture of transformation is built. When you show up repeatedly, even when it's boring, even when it feels small, you tell your mind and your body who you are. Over time, those repeated actions stop being tasks and become part of your identity. Consistency is not perfection. It's persistence. It's the decision to return again and again to the practices, the disciplines, and the standards that align with the life you're building. And the impact of that persistence is profound. Opportunities begin to open, not because of luck, but because of momentum. Behind the scenes of success, there's rarely a single breakthrough moment. Instead, there are countless ordinary days stacked together, days where someone chose to practice truth, invest in growth, and keep showing up. That stacking effect builds not only results, but also confidence, because each repetition is evidence that you are becoming the person you promised yourself you would be. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you see how truth, skills, and consistency interlace, you begin to recognize that your future isn't built by sudden leaps, but by steady threads, woven day after day, until the fabric of your transformation is undeniable. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I choose consistency. It's a way of marking this moment as a decision, a reminder that truth, practice, and persistence are not just ideas, but commitments you can carry into every part of your journey. Pain is often seen as an enemy, something to be avoided, silenced, or numbed at any cost. But the hidden truth is that pain is not punishment, it is information. It points to places within you or around you that need attention, places where growth is waiting to be born. When you treat pain not as a destination, but as data, you unlock its power to refine you. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries within it revelation, showing you what must be healed, strengthened, or released. The impact of this perspective shift is immense. Instead of running from pain, you begin to listen to it, and in listening, you discover the very guidance you once tried to avoid. Transformation often begins in the moments you least wanted to experience, because pain has a way of stripping away illusions and exposing truth. But pain alone is not enough. It must be met with clarity, and that clarity often comes in the form of boundaries. Saying no clearly is not about rejection, it's about preservation. Every no you speak with conviction makes space for the deeper, more meaningful yes that shapes your journey. When you hesitate to say no, you end up scattering your energy, giving pieces of yourself away to commitments and people that drain rather than build. Yet when you honor your boundaries, your life expands, not because you're doing more, but because what you're doing actually aligns with your values. The scenes of a purposeful life is the discipline to say no without apology, knowing that each refusal protects something greater: your focus, your health, your growth, your truth. This ability to set boundaries is also directly tied to responsibility. Owning your choices is the act of reclaiming your power. It's easy to point fingers, to blame circumstances, people, or timing for where you are. But every time you do, you quietly hand over your strength. Responsibility is not about guilt, about authority. It puts the steering wheel back in your hands, reminding you that while you can't control everything, you can always control your next decision. And it's those decisions, stacked one after another, that shape the arc of your journey. The hidden revelation here is that responsibility is liberating, not limiting. Blame traps you in the past, tethered to what someone else did or didn't do. Responsibility, however, pulls you into the present, where change is actually possible. It gives you back the ability to decide, to act, to direct the course of your story. This doesn't mean the road will always be easy, but it does mean the road will always be yours. Transformation is not about perfect circumstances. It's about owning your role in every circumstance and choosing your response with courage. When pain refines you, when boundaries protect you, and when responsibility guides you, your life begins to shift from reaction to intention. Each challenge becomes less about survival and more about shaping. Each decision becomes less about pressure and more about alignment. And slowly, the pieces of your journey begin to form a story not of avoidance, but of empowerment. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand how refinement, clarity, and ownership intertwine, you begin to see that the real hidden strength lies not in avoiding the weight of life, but in carrying it with wisdom, direction, and authority. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I own my path. It's a declaration that you are ready to let pain guide you, boundaries protect you, and responsibility empower you on the journey ahead. Focus is one of the rarest resources in today's world, not because it is difficult to access, but because it is constantly being scattered. When everything feels urgent, nothing truly is. Too many priorities is another way of saying no priorities at all. The hidden truth is that the weight of your impact doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the vital few things with full presence. When you dilute your attention across too many fronts, your results become thin and fragile. But when you concentrate your energy, when you choose deliberately where to pour yourself, your actions gather power and momentum. Transformation doesn't require more hours in the day. It requires more clarity about where your hours are actually going. Behind the scenes of extraordinary lives, there is usually a pattern of ruthless focus, of cutting away the noise to protect the essence. This clarity extends beyond choosing what matters. It also reveals itself in how you move. There is a difference between building and broadcasting, between creating progress and performing the appearance of progress. We live in an age where it is tempting to announce every plan, every intention, as if declaring them is the same as realizing them. But the truth is that quiet construction always outweighs loud intention. Foundation that holds is laid in silence, brick by brick, in moments where no one is watching. Real power comes not from the noise of what you say you will do, but from the evidence of what you have already built. Broadcasting without building is like selling the image of a house with no structure behind the walls. It might impress for a moment, but it collapses the instant weight is applied. When you build first, when you prove with substance rather than words, your results will speak with an authority that no performance can imitate. And as you build, you begin to notice something else. Relationships act as mirrors, constantly reflecting truths about where you are and who you are becoming. People reveal themselves less in what they say and more in what they consistently do. Occasional words are easy. Patterns of behavior are undeniable. The hidden truth is that your relationships are one of the most powerful indicators of your reality. Who stands by you in silence? Who supports without needing applause? Who only appears when there's something to take, but disappears when there's something to give? When you start to see relationships this way, clarity follows. Not everyone belongs close. Some people are meant to stay at a distance, and some are meant to be gone entirely. Transformation often requires this sorting, not out of judgment, but out of necessity. The impact of this realization is profound. When you align your focus on the vital few, when you build in silence, before you speak, and when you choose your relationships based on actions rather than words, your life begins to simplify in the best way possible. Noise fades, distractions weaken, and what matters most begins to shine more clearly. This isn't about isolation. It's about alignment. It's about curating your time, your energy, and your circle so that they all point in the direction of your deepest values. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand how focus, substance, and relationships intertwine, you begin to realize that the hidden architecture of your life is not built by chance, but by choice, by the deliberate decisions you make about what to keep, what to build, and who to walk with on the journey. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I choose substance. Say it as a reminder that you are committed to focus over noise, building over broadcasting, and truth in relationships over empty words. What you attract into your life is never random. It's a reflection of who you are becoming behind the scenes. The hidden truth is that the world doesn't give you what you simply wish for. It mirrors back the energy, the habits, and the standards you live by daily. If you want loyalty, you must embody it. If you want opportunity, you must act with readiness. If you want growth, you must cultivate the discipline that growth requires. Becoming what you want to attract is not about pretending or performing. It's about transformation at the level of mindset and action. Every habit you upgrade becomes a signal, a quiet announcement to the universe of what you are prepared to receive. And slowly, without noise or force, Your horizon expands to match your internal evolution. This shift is powerful because it reframes attraction from something mystical into something practical. You are constantly broadcasting, through your choices and your behavior, an invitation for what aligns with you. If your actions are rooted in doubt, chaos, or complacency, you attract more of the same. But when you choose clarity, consistency, and courage, the impact ripples outward, shaping not only your opportunities, but also the people and circumstances that begin to gather around you. The hidden revelation here is that transformation doesn't begin when the outside world changes. It begins when you decide to embody the very values you are waiting to see reflected. And yet, for many, the dream of becoming more is paralyzed by the illusion that they must wait for perfect conditions. But perfection never arrives. The only real starting point is where you are right now, with what you already hold in your hands. Starting where you stand is not a compromise. It's the most powerful decision you can make. Because when you begin here, you step into the truth that the future you admire is not a distant possibility, but a construction project built in the present. Every action you take today lays bricks for the life you desire tomorrow. There's a quiet liberation in this realization. You don't need all the answers, all the resources, or all the confidence to begin. You need only the courage to take one step from where you are. Momentum is born in motion, not in waiting. Waiting for the perfect moment only strengthens hesitation. Acting in the present creates a rhythm that carries you forward. Behind the scenes of every great story, there was a moment where someone began despite uncertainty, where they chose progress over paralysis, where they believed that what they had was enough to get started. This is not about lowering the vision, but about honoring the process. You can dream big while starting small. You can aim for transformation while still respecting the value of the present. When you bring attention to today and invest fully in it, you begin to realize that the extraordinary future you long for isn't created in some distant, magical tomorrow. It's constructed moment by moment, with choices as simple as discipline, honesty, and consistency. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you see how embodying the qualities you desire and taking action right where you are intertwined, you understand that attraction is not passive, it's active alignment. A revelation that the journey you dream of is already waiting for you to step into it. And I'd love for you to write in the comments, I start here. It's a way of anchoring this truth in your journey, a reminder that no matter where you are, this moment holds enough to begin shaping the life you want. If you've stayed with me until this point, it probably means something here spoke directly to you. That's exactly why I'd love for you to subscribe, so you keep receiving content that helps you grow, reflect, and strengthen your own journey. And since you've walked with me all the way to the end, leave a comment with the phrase, I'm with you until the end. It's a simple way to mark your presence and show that this message truly reached you. And if what we shared today connected with you, a like on this video is always appreciated. It's a quiet signal that this kind of content matters and that the connection we're building here is real. Now, don't stop here. There's a video right next to this one that complements everything we've been exploring. Click and continue with me over there.